This is our first full panel of everyone. This is about the real day-to-day nitty-gritty of managing your day. Question number one for the panelists will be, what is your day like? Just so we can get a feel for the day-to-day life of a writer. Question number two is one that Eric specifically asked me to ask, which is, how did you do this while working a full-time job? Or a part-time job? How did you balance a job and writing? Question number three will be, how can you balance a family and writing? Some authors suggest that it's a bad idea to try and balance a family and writing. I remember Dave once specifically telling me, no, it's good to have a family. You should have a family if you want one, but because they will give you lots of material. Question number three will be about balancing a family. Number four will be a very important one. Number four is managing distractions. How do you manage your distractions as a writer and keep yourself productive? Which leads into number five. Are there any tricks that you use as a writer to increase your productivity during the day? And then number six will be a more general question. How do you stop writing from consuming everything in your life, or do you want to? That sort of question. And then I'll have follow-up questions and things like that. Panelists, what we want to do is, if you've got comments that work better under one as opposed to another, kind of save them for the question that's appropriate to them. And if you don't have anything to say, then you can pass. Let's go ahead and do number one. What is your day like? I'm actually going to start with Kevin on this one because he was the one that requested this question.
Right. Well, I get up in the morning, I look on the computer for my email, and then the day's done.
Yeah, that's it.
No, actually, I'm sort of a morning person. My wife is not, so she'll have a totally different day. But I'll get up in the morning, maybe 6:30 or so is when the alarm goes off, and I'll have my coffee and breakfast. I do a workout every day. I have a gym in the house just because I think I want to keep myself healthy and in shape, and it gets the blood moving and everything. And then I check my email, which often sucks up more time than it really should, and we'll get to that later for the distractions part of it. Some of you may know this or not, and we'll talk in greater detail on some other things, but I do most of my writing with a handheld digital recorder. I go out for a walk and I dictate, and that's how I do my chapters. I have everything outlined. I have chapter number 30 and 31 ready to go during that day. So the first thing I do after I finish my work on the email is I'll take my notes for those 2 or 3 chapters, I'll take my tape recorder, and I will head on out to the local trails, the bike path, the whatever, depending on how ambitious I am for that day. And I'll go out for a couple of hours, and I'll just keep walking until I get my writing done for that day. I'll dictate 2. I've done as much as 45 pages in a day by dictating that way. And I'll go out, keep walking, keep hiking, which is great on nice days. It's a real bitch when it's 40 degrees below zero and it's windy, but I still go out anyway and I do it because then by the time I come back in, it's late morning, 11:30. Even if something terrible happens, some crisis happens, or if the phone rings, or there's a conference call, or there's some all kinds of distractions, I've at least done my writing for the day. I've got my 2 chapters done. And after that, I have lunch, and then in the afternoon, I spend the time like answering phone messages that were left for me, doing some email stuff I need to, and then I spend the rest of the afternoon editing chapters, usually the previous day's chapters that I wrote. And then we have dinner, and then the rest of the evening is spent watching television, which, by the way, is work, because if I have to watch X-Files shows to read or to write X-Files books, that's work. We watch all of the genre TV shows just because I never know if somebody's going to call me and say, Kevin, do you like Stargate Universe? Would you like to write a book in that series?
And by the way, we are miserable to watch television with because we're sitting there analyzing how they did everything in the show, how they set it up, or how we would have changed it to make it make more sense. We always know who did it, a few minutes into the show.
So we're writers instead of like TV watchers. So every episode of Babylon 5 we watched was work. It wasn't work to watch it, but it was work anyway. And while I have a table set up in the room, which is really terrible because it's sucking up more time, but in the bedroom when we have the TV on and we're watching, I have a table set up, and I have the laptop on, and that's when I do, I write my blogs, or I answer questions for interviews that people have emailed me, or I do Twitter, or that's when I'm keeping up on my Facebook page, or
That's
answering
while
emails.
we're watching television.
So while I'm watching television, that's when I'm doing that, and then I take a bath and read a book I want to read, or actually it's often a book that somebody sent me to write a blurb for, and then I go to bed. So it's all day long is something to do with writing, but I love writing. I'm miserable when I'm not writing, and we'll get to that with the spending time with the family part later. Not with the wife, with the rest of the family.
Rebecca, you're up next. What's your day like?
My day is exactly like his in theory, but it doesn't go anything like his day.